Be like, Danny. Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Business Plays. This episode of Business Plays is brought to you by Blinkist. First 100 people to go to Blinkist.com/blaze. Well, you're going to get 25% off your annual membership, aren't you? You're also going to get a week for free to try it out. What could be better than that? More about that in a bit. Welcome. If you're new here, what happens? Danny will write me a script. Danny, this script is 10 pages long. And we've had this conversation so many times that I feel like the people in the comments are like, it's the same jokes over and over again, isn't it, Simon? It's the same jokes. They're like, yeah, Danny, please. Shorter. 10 pages, man. And everyone's like, Simon, why don't I'm just taking a tissue out of my pocket?
Why are you crying?
Simon, why don't you just read it? Like, make it less short. Add less of your bullshit. And I'm like, well, if it was 5 pages, it would still be half as long, wouldn't it? I'd have just less to add. Danny writes a script. I will add some to it. Sam will sprinkle in some fine vintage memes. Let's go. This is the things the movies always get wrong, part 2. Again, as I always say, this is just... Apparently this is the episode where I repeat all the jokes. Episode 2 is always when I'm feeling creatively bankrupt. I see the previous one did well, and I'm like, I love some views. Because views is money, baby. It's all about the Benjamins. Let's go.
Capitalist pig. Back off, man.
It was another lousy, stinking night in the city that never took a nap. The word on the street was that Johnny Sausage was back in town. I love a story, Danny. And I had a rendezvous in mind that could get spicier than the Grim Reaper's spatula and basting brush combination set. Why would the Grim Reaper have a particularly spicy spatula? What am I missing? I don't like it when I miss the jokes because it reminds me that I'm dumb.
I don't understand. I don't understand, bitch. I don't understand. I don't understand.
The rain lashed down as relentlessly as a Raid Shadow Legends sales rep, and I took a last puff of my strand, pulled up the collar of my Mac, and moseyed on through the flapping doors of the Blue Lagoon in search of a few hot leads and an ice cold drink. I love that. Rain lashed down as relentlessly as a Raid Shadow Legends sales rep, because those motherfuckers are absolutely relentless. If you're a creator of any size, I reckon as long as you got more than 4 subscribers, you're gonna get someone at Raid Shadow Legends reaching out to you being like, hello.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Just take the money. Fuck it. The whole joint stank of smoke, stale sweat, bad breath, broken promises. It's a very distinct smell. It's what the basement smells like. Shattered dreams and cavernous, aching regret. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of Billy Pancake up to his usual tricks, entertaining a few dumb dames with his Kinder Surprise toy assemblage skills. But I had bigger... By the way, the word assemblage, I always want to read assemblage. I don't know why, but I feel like that's how we should say it. Assemblage.
Okay.
But I had bigger fish to fry tonight than that lightly baked weasel. Oh my god, this is f***ing sprinkled with OGPP. I took a seat at the bar and eyeballed the bartender with a face like a disappointing result from an STD. Danny, you are on fire today, son. Mwah! I barked at him, get me a beer, slammed down a few coins at the bar as I waited expectantly for that head-numbing first golden sip of moonshine. Nothing happens. This clown clearly had cloth ears, as well as a face that could cancel Christmas. Hey, buddy, I yelled. I'm spitting feathers here. Give me a beer. After a moment's pause, the bartender leaned forward with a raised eyebrow and a mighty dollop of attitude. A beer? He repeated, gesturing at the large selection of bottles behind him. There are hundreds of beers here. Could you be a little more specific, sir? Or do you think I am some sort of mind reader? You great big dribbling buffoon. I sang into my seat and meekly asked for anything but a Heineken. This was definitely not how things usually panned out in the movies. I suppose it's different if you're a regular face down your local tavern and the bartender knows that you'll be looking for a gin and tonic before you've even had a chance to open your mouth. Yeah, I mean, who goes into a pub and is like, yeah, I'll have a beer? Actually, I would say that. And then just bring me a beer. I don't think it works that way in the UK, because there's more like, I live in Prague in the Czech Republic. You go in, it's like they have generally like 2 beers, one like strong beer and one lighter beer. And it's like, normally they'll give you the stronger beer if you just like 1 beer, please. They'll be like, here is a beer. Whereas in the UK, you'd be like, oh, if they give me a Carling. I don't know, Danny doesn't like Heineken. Heineken's fine. Carling is rough. And I'm worried they'd give me a Carling.
He's kind of gay.
It's not gay, come on.
I don't know, man. Seems kinda gay to me.
But the silver screen regularly depicts a stranger in town siding up to the bar and making the vaguest of requests, and yet he always seems to end up getting served exactly what he wanted. It's a bit like just sitting down in a hairdresser's chair and mumbling, "Give me a non-specific haircut. Fast." A scene like that would probably be seen as quite odd in a movie, but we seem to accept the "get me a non-specific beer" request without making too much of a fuss about it. Of course, it's all down to the legal minefield of using a genuine brand name in a fictional setting, although the exact issues can be quite different in nature. Yeah, I was just seeing this the other day. Someone goes into a bar and says, "I have a bourbon," and it's like, okay, like, we have at least 20 kinds. That's the next question. It's like, well, how expensive are they? I want a medium price one. What's that? Yeah, Maker's Mark. Okay, yeah, I'll take that. Maker's Mark sounds good. Yeah, okay, good. It's never like, okay, yeah, I'll bring you a bourbon, and you get the bill. It's like a £60 bourbon, and you're like, what the is this? What have you done? Growing up in the UK, you become accustomed to the rule that you'll rarely see any brands pop up on any breed of TV program publicly funded by the BBC, because they can't seem to be promoting commercial products or indulging in sneaky product placement. Even if it's not they can't be seen doing it, I believe it's illegal to have product placement on UK TV. Even if a brand accidentally gets mentioned on live television, you usually hear the presenter falling over themselves to quickly let viewers know that other brands are available. That'd be so bizarre. You're doing a story about Coca-Cola. It's like, Coca-Cola profits this quarter are up 4%, which is excellent news for Coca-Cola. Just to remind you, other carbonated cola soft drinks are available. So what are you up to, BBC? It's almost as unnecessarily long as a Business Plays video. But it's not the same story in movies, where product placement is perfectly acceptable and a multi-billion-dollar element of the whole industry. In this situation, it's the owners of the brands who may have a bone to pick with the studio for daring to show their product on the screen. It might seem strange that a company would bother to complain about free advertising, and in most cases they won't. But there's a reason why beer can be a particularly problematic product in the pictures. I'm sure nobody would raise any objections if a likable superhero played by Tom Hanks took a quick swig of Bud Light before discovering a cure for cancer and then ending all wars and homelessness and poverty. Yeah, it's a bit more of a problem. It's like, what's this about? Oh, it's a fictionalized version of a Ted Bundy story. And it opens with Ted Bundy greatly enjoying Bud Light and saying that it basically causes him to go into a murderous rage. Bud Light would probably be like, guys, no. But that's not always how scenes involving the consumption of alcohol play out in movies. It's not uncommon to see a character find comfort in the bottom of a bottle as a reaction to everything in his life suddenly turning to shit. On a more extreme level, a character might down a bottle of beer before getting involved in a drunken fight, shooting a neighbor, or going home and bludgeoning his wife to death. It's not a good look for beer, is it? Under those circumstances, you can't blame Heineken for not necessarily wanting to have their brand so closely associated with losers, thugs, criminals, and maniacal murderers. And when a brewing company gets really upset, they can start throwing defamation lawsuits around. And I'll tell you what, as a creator, I would know you don't want one of those. I've never had one. I've had a few legal threats over the years. So you're like, don't say that. You said that. We don't like that. I'd be like, yeah, I didn't mean it so bad. I'm sorry. Never on Business Plays, fortunately, because I kind of believe all of it. Everything I say, like even Carling, it's like, no, Carling is fucking. I can't say a single good thing about it other than it has alcohol in it. Sorry, Carling. I mean, that's just my opinion. It's not like I'm saying it's an objective fact that Carling is shit. I'm just saying that I personally would rather drink the piss of a homeless man. The 2012 film Flight found itself in frothy water when the lead character, played by Denzel Washington, was clearly seen drinking bottles of Budweiser. That might not have been an issue of itself, but the character was an alcoholic airline pilot who was indulging in a bit of Bud along with vodka and cocaine, just before taking charge of a commercial flight and endangering the lives of every passenger on board. Yeah, dude, he flew the plane upside down. I mean, to save the day, but still. I feel that's an excellent use of but still. Although it was too late to do anything about the theatrical release, Anheuser-Busch, the makers of Budweiser, insisted that the brand logo be digitally removed from all subsequent home media versions. The problem with branded beer in TV and movies has only grown in recent years. Back in the good old days, it was deemed acceptable to at least show fleeting footage of real brands on the ground that it was barely visible. But the advent of high definition has made it easier to spot such subtle authenticity. So nowadays, most fictional bars and fridges are stocked with custom-produced cans and bottles of fake prop beer such as Heisler, which is one you've seen that if you look up, maybe Sam put an image of Heisler beer on the screen now, you'll have definitely seen this in movies, and now that you've seen it, you'll continually look out for it. The same goes for, I believe it's Morley cigarettes, which look like Marlboro cigarettes. They have all the same like red shit on them, except they're called Morleys. There's another one, there's a newspaper as well. People are always looking at a newspaper and it's the same prop newspaper. You'll see in many different TV shows. You may have seen characters taking a swig of the dummy beer Heisler in a long list of films and TV shows over the years, including The Social Network. Oh, Aaron Sorkin is such a legend. I love his movies. Training Day, Scream, Roseanne, and Star Trek Enterprise. So maybe that's why the characters in Movieland can get away with just vaguely requesting a beer at a bar. There's only usually one available on the menu, and it's rubbish. The poor lambs. It's not even real.
So that was a fucking lie.
Still, there's more than one way in which real life and the movies don't always follow exactly the same narrative. Call my name! Here's a quick peek into the kind of in-depth discussion that usually takes place between Simon and I when brainstorming a new business plays video. Very curious about this. I don't know if it's real. Could be from our like we have a project management software, but we have discussions about like what we're making. Let's find out if this is actually one of them or not. Danny, I have a new topic idea for a script. Would you like to hear it, Danny? No, I'm usually just be like, do you want to do this, Danny? Yes or no? Certainly, Simon. It's not another one about North Korea, is it? You were on laugh time last time, Simon. Danny, no. Little background. So I made a video that was it just got off the rails insulting North Korea. And I was like, you know, I see it as extremely unlikely that I'm going to be assassinated with like Novichok or some but let's just not risk it, okay? Because this one got insane. No, Danny, it's got nothing to do with the highly respected regime behind that great country, for which I hold nothing but the utmost respect. No, Danny, I thought we could do one about conspiracy theories involving chickens. Do you think that's a good idea, Danny? I'm not sure, Simon. How many conspiracy theories do you know of that might involve chickens, Simon? Danny, do you really say my name so much in real life? You use it twice in a sentence. Be like, Danny, 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 Danny! Well, Danny, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I think that's just because nobody's covered it before. Okay, Simon. Well, at least sounds better than technical analysis. Leave it alone, Danny. I like the technical analysis video. I'll give it a go, Simon. Okay, Danny. Hail, Kim Jong-un. Whatever, Simon. You might think that this conversation sounds odd, unnatural. And that's largely because of the ridiculous number of times we're choosing to address each other by our names in every sentence. Yeah, okay. What is going on, Simon? Simon, 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 Simon.
Simon! Hello! Right back at you.
If this was like a script, if I was auditioning for like some movie or some handed that to me, I'd be like, why is he saying his name so many times? Read the goddamn script, fact boy! And this is one of those things that you might not always necessarily spot in films unless you're consciously looking out for it. In real life, you're probably only likely to use the other person's name in conversation quite sparingly, maybe at the beginning, at the end, and possibly just once or twice in the middle. You're not likely to keep on using it all the bloody time until it reaches the point where it's almost every other word.
Penny! Penny! Penny!
What's the gist, physicist?
And yet this happens in films all the time, particularly when a new character is first seen on the screen. They might do this, but still, I'll be watching TV shows for months. Like, I'll have watched like 4 seasons. And you'll know the names of the main characters, like Don and Peggy. And then you'll be like, and then, you know, my wife will be watching it with me and she'll be like, Simon, just wondering, what's the name of that character? You know, that the copywriter who had that meeting with the whatever. And I'll be like, oh my God, I don't know. I know he's like, he's in every episode, but I just don't know. Do you know? And my wife will be like, no idea. Of course, it's largely just the movie makers trying to help the audience get up to speed with the names of the characters so that viewers can mentally absorb the names for future reference and crucial plot twists. There are, however, people who do this in real life. And they do it to try and remember your name. So, like, you know, if you ever meet someone, and I'm like, hi, I'm Simon, nice to meet you. And they're like, Simon, nice to meet you, Simon. How are you doing, Simon? It's great to meet you, Simon. Simon. And I'll be like, stop it, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to remember my name. I'm not going to be offended if you forget my name. That's completely okay. I've already forgotten yours. Just stop saying my name. It's weird. How? It can be quite a challenge to instantly put names to faces in a film with a particularly big cast, and so the script gets around to this problem by having the characters continue to reference each other's names at every available opportunity so that we don't forget. This can be quite useful in the long term. Imagine watching the shocking climax of a film in which it's announced the mysterious masked villain behind the haunted fairground motors is none other than Terry. Nobody would have ever guessed it was Terry all along. But the impact is somewhat diluted if during this pivotal revelation you find yourself thinking aloud, hang on, which one was Terry again? The one with the limp? Or the one with the gammy eye?
What's my name?
Terry Jeffords.
What is my name?
the Ebony Falcon.
There are possibly some more creative and interesting ways in which films could hammer the point home without such endless vocal repetition. Perhaps it would be more effective in some cases to show rather than tell. We could see each character's name spring up regularly on phone screens or office doors or business cards or wherever fits the film. Or maybe every character in every movie ever made should just wear t-shirts and with their name emblazoned on the front. That might seem equally unrealistic, but at least it cuts through the crap. Just wear one of those like, hi, I'm so-and-so. I reckon Simon should give this a go on the next Business Blaze episode, just in case any viewers are suffering from short-term memory loss. I'll be sure to mention it to Simon the next time I talk to Simon. Stop it, Danny! Oh, I'm gonna stop reading Danny's script for a moment and tell you about the fine people over at Blinkist. Why is that? Look, how many times have you seen a book and thought, oh my god, that book is so big? It's like, that book is like 400 pages. I am a tiny-brained individual. It's not that. It's not that. You can be a big-brain individual. And honestly, big-brain individuals use Blinkist because look, big brains, we're generally busy. We're working on important things, like Business Place. We're saving the world. Literally the opposite of what I do. Just make vapid entertainment.
How dare you?
But the great thing about Blinkist is they take that big book and they're like, look, fat boy, we know you're extremely busy. What we've done is we've condensed that 400-page book down into a 14-minute little audio thing that you can listen to. You can also read it. I've got my phone here, actually. Let me show you. Let me show you the Blinkist app. Actually, they say in the document I have to show you the Blinkist app, so it's lucky I have my phone here. Because once I didn't do it, and they were like, fat boy, get out the app. Oh yeah, okay. Look, I'm gonna go a little off the rails here. Because I would recommend something that I've been listening to recently, but I just opened up the app and it's like, yo, Fact Boy, your daily pick is ready. The daily pick is something called bulletproof problem solving. Honestly, like, I feel most of my life is either making videos or fixing shit that has gone wrong. That is like largely my life. Someone from the team will be like, Simon, this happened with this. You read that there's something wrong, and I'll be like, I know, please. Sorry. What's it about? Bulletproof problem solving. This one's condensed down to 12 minutes. Oh my god. So yeah, look, you can either read it like this, and it's got all these little blinks in there. I almost always listen to it, where you just tap the headphones.
2 of 6.
And let's just skip to the middle.
Years back,
All right,
author
steady on,
Robert
steady on.
McKay.
Okay, so there's a dude doing something with solar panels. I have no idea what this one is about, but I'll probably give it a listen to later because I'd like to be better at problem solving. That's Blinkist. I'm sure there's something mandatory I've got to say. There's over 3,000 titles to choose from. 14 million active users. Good lord. And yeah, what can you do? You can also get short versions of podcasts. That sounds very handy. And discounts off full audiobooks. That's fantastic. Look, the first 100 people to go to blinkist.com/blaze will get 1 week to try it out. You'll also get 25% off if you want the full membership. Again, 7-day trial, cancel anytime. Blinkist.com/blaze. That sounds fantastic. Thank you, Blinkist, for sponsoring. And let's jump back into it, shall we? Cover my shift. It's a scene that's cropped up in hundreds of movies over the years. Jennifer the waitress is only halfway through another shift working at the prestigious Prancing Porky Pig restaurant. Sounds prestigious. When an emergency strikes, Skippy the bush kangaroo comes hopping through the doors and informs Jennifer via an assortment of odd clicks and whistles and foot stomps that her younger brother Harry has fallen down a mine shaft and is in perilous danger. Wait, isn't this a story about a dog? Isn't there like a dog that... Isn't it Lassie? Is it Lassie? Where the boy falls down the well? It's not Skippy, is it? Skippy's something different. I'm so confused.
I don't understand. I don't understand, bitch. Don't understand. I don't understand, bitch.
In a state of panic, Jennifer takes off her apron and flings it in the direction of her co-worker and good friend Wendy with the words, "Hey Wendy, Harry has fallen down a mine shaft again." Cover again. What are you up to, Harry? Cover my shift. Wendy agrees without hesitation, even if she's secretly feeling a bit pissed off. This is the third time this month that Harry has fallen down a bloody mine shaft. And if Skippy is so bloody clever, why doesn't he rescue Harry instead of bouncing down to the restaurant every time like a hopping mad idiot? Probably because he doesn't have hands. What's he gonna do with that rope? Wendy is beginning to think that Skippy is purposefully shoving Harry down the mine shaft for shits and giggles. All right then. Maybe the bits involving the kangaroo in the mine shaft aren't quite so common in movies as I thought. But we can certainly see plenty of examples of workers frequently abandoning their station with zero consequences as soon as an unexpected personal problem comes up. Yeah, I mean, hang on. I'm thinking about jobs I've had, where it's like I've worked with colleagues, and the idea is like, yeah, cover my shift. It's like, dude, I got my own work to do. We're just gonna have one less person. If we could manage with one less person, do you think they'd be paying all of us? Are you unfamiliar with capitalism? But we certainly see plenty of examples of workers frequently abandoning their station. Blah, blah. And the point is that the whole cover my shift routine wouldn't really work so easily in real life. For starters, you probably get fired if you made a habit of running away from your job, and it's not really fair or realistic to expect a co-worker to suddenly cover twice as many tables or cope with twice as much work at the drop of an apron. But to be fair, I think we can forgive the film studios for taking a shortcut over this one. If we're engaged in a dramatic scene in which Jennifer is informed that her brother has been kidnapped by the mafia, we don't really need to see her having a 10-minute conversation with the manager or desperately phoning around other employees to ask if they'll come in on their day off and help her out during an unexpected absence. Best to just drop the apron on the floor and leg it. The viewer is rushed straight to the scene where Jennifer takes down the mafia with her kung fu skills and then invites her rescued younger brother for a celebratory stroll around the nearest mine shaft. Queens of the Wild Frontier. Some movie genres are never meant to have much basis in reality. You can't complain too much about the lack of authenticity or accuracy when you're watching a science fiction film or a swords and sorcery film with talking trees. Yeah, dude, I'm never going to be watching a swords and sorcery. It's like the worst. So, stop. Maybe we should add westerns to that list of old genres which belong in the realms of pure fantasy with little relation to truth or history. Doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, I've seen westerns. It's not really going to be like that. I can remember when Brokeback Mountain, never seen it, first began generating headlines and acclaim back in 2005. The Oscar-nominated movie, which was thoughtfully dubbed the gay cowboy movie in some quarters, courted controversy with its bold storyline involving two male leads who find themselves engaged in a complicated and emotional sexual relationship. This had some veteran western fans and even real-life modern-day cowboys spluttering with disbelief into their jugs of firewater. Except weren't gay cowboys, like, quite common? I thought it was quite common. It felt like the very idea of a gay cowboy was absurd. You'd never have caught John Wayne pausing in the middle of a gunfight to cop off with the male bartender. That'd be amazing. To be honest, I think the gay cowboy movie is actually a wildly misleading nickname. For starters, the characters appear to be bisexual rather than gay, and they're not really cowboys either, they're shepherds, so it should really be called the Bisexual Sheep Herders Movie. Well, actually, it should be called Brokeback Mountain, because that's the name of the movie, isn't it? As one disgruntled modern cowboy viewer put it, you just can't put a hat on someone and say they're a cowboy. But the point is that some viewers felt uncomfortable with the idea of gay leading characters in a western, regardless of the types of animals they were herding. Yeah, we call those people out of touch. The thing is, seems to be that gay people just hadn't been invented back then, and that's why. Up until the release of Brokeback Mountain, the entire history of western movies had produced a grand total of just one openly gay character appearing in the 1970s film Little Big Man, and he was a comedy Indian, so it didn't really count. But despite the notable absence of gay cowboys in cinema, the truth is that real-life gay cowboys, who were more than likely called punks at the time, as such terms as homosexual and gay hadn't been invented yet, well, they probably had an easier time than you might think. Yeah, I feel like I've heard of this, and probably because of Brokeback Mountain, because people are like, oh, cowboys weren't gay, and people are like, oh no, cowboys were gay. Sorry to break it to you, being gay is not new. Just people couldn't talk about it in the past, could they?
I don't know, man. Seems kinda gay to me.
It might be pushing it a bit far to say that gay cowboys were accepted and embraced, but they were certainly tolerated as long as they didn't flaunt their sexuality down at the Last Chance Saloon. Manpower was often scarce in the very early days of the West, and landowners couldn't afford to be too choosy about who they hired, and saw no reason to poke their noses into the private lives of their hired hands. This tolerance slowly began to evaporate following the arrival of mechanized agriculture, and the turn of the 20th century saw public attitudes towards gay people degenerate from quiet tolerance into open hostility, particularly in the wake of the Oscar Wilde trials in England. So it's all the fault of Oscar Wilde and combine harvesters, really? Yeah, that's what we could take away from it. Oscar Wilde, that dick. But it's strange to think that the sight of a gay cowboy in real life during the Wild West years would have been deemed more tolerable than a fictional depiction of a gay cowboy on a cinema screen well over 100 years later. Yes, I think we should just say that that's going to be with a really small percentage of the population. It's like, guys, get over it. You're in the future. Start acting like it, okay? And I don't want to come across as all super hyper woke or anything, but it is like, come on. Come on. It is 2021. Of course, the stereotypical version of a movie cowboy is that of a rugged, unshaven, sharp-shooting, horse-riding, boot-wearing, rootin'-tootin' and thoroughly heterosexual male. And of course, definitely white. Except I made a video. There were definitely black cowboys. There were plenty of black cowboys because, of course, there were.
That's racist!
If you were to take Western cinema at face value, it would be a predominantly white face, with people of color only taking on the roles of enemy Native Americans. Up until very recently, moviegoers could be forgiven for thinking that there was no such thing as a black cowboy, which is weird because about 25% of cowboys in the Wild West were black. Yeah, but we don't want to represent that in movies, said everyone in the 1950s. Following the American Civil War, these forgotten cowboys were often former slaves who were drawn to a new life in the saddle, working on cattle ranches across Texas. They sadly didn't share the same perks and benefits and opportunities as their white counterparts. None of the forgotten cowboys ever rose through the ranks to become a foreman or trail boss or cattle owner, and they were usually just given the laborious tasks that the white cowboys didn't want to do, such as breaking in horses, cooking, and traveling at the front of a party to ensure that the trails were safe for everyone else. But it was certainly a step up from slavery, and black cowboys were very much a part of the traditional Western landscape, yet they appear to have been whitewashed from Hollywood altogether. For example, the classic 1956 film The Searchers is partly based on a true story involving the real-life black cowboy Britt Johnson, but the leading character in the film is played by John Wayne. John Wayne? Look, I'm not an expert on Western movies or anything, but I'm pretty sure he's a white guy. And it has to be said that perhaps the most famous Western movie star of all time probably wouldn't have had much truck with the idea of sharing the screen with black cowboys. Oh no, John Wayne. During a 1971 interview with Playboy, John Wayne revealed, "I believe in white supremacy until blacks are educated to the point of responsibility." Dude, not okay. I can't, the crazy thing about that is like 1971 was only 16 years before I was born. And John Wayne thought it was totally okay to say that in a national giant, not newspaper, magazine. That is wild, John Wayne. So I imagine that John Wayne was unlikely to have been the first in the queue to see the magnificent black gay cowboys ride a mart. That sounds like a porn film though, doesn't it? The reason for erasing the black cowboys from the silver screen largely boils down to money, as well as the blatantly obvious ignorant attitudes of the time. During the golden age of westerns, most movie theaters were owned by white people who didn't want to show films featuring black cowboys because they lost money. Black audiences didn't have the disposable income required to go and do something as extravagant as watch a movie, while white audiences were less likely to pay to watch a black actor in a role that they'd usually associate with John Wayne. That is broken on so many levels. It might seem harsh to single out the Western genre for pretending that black and gay cowboys never existed, when the genre was just part of an entire sprawling industry that was hardly noted for its diversity over the course of the 20th century. And beyond, honestly.
Oh, fella, I need women like I need booze, I'll tell you that right now, and every red-blooded male that I've ever met says the same.
Well, I'm a red-blooded male, I'm a tax-paying, hard-working man, and I like...
And modern westerns do, at least now, finally appear to be recovering from a severe memory loss that spanned over a century of filmmaking, although there have certainly been a few misguided and clumsy efforts to redress the balance along the way. But perhaps the western genre has always been more deeply mired in bigotry than most, as it depicted the continuing heroic adventures of the brave white straight cowboys taking on the primitive and bloodthirsty Native Americans. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you look at West, it's like, surprise! They're racist. Literally no one is surprised except Factboy. And I'm not even surprised. I'm not surprised. And looking back at some of those vintage westerns today, the wholly fictitious landscape of the wild frontier seems almost as alien as something you might find on Star Wars. I demand my phone call. Johnny Sausage has been... It's always surprisingly loud open. I don't know. What's wrong with me? It's like I can cut out, but I'm like, yeah, I'll just open this Coke right now. Why not? And I know it's close to the end of the video, but I was really thirsty for like the first 17 pages, and I was like, no, I can get through it. And I was like, oh my god, I need a drink. I demand my phone call. Johnny Sausage had been caught bang to rights this time. He'd been stitched up like a kipper by a weird guy down at the Blue Lagoon who didn't even know how to order a beer from a bar, but there was no way Johnny Sausage was going to sing like a canary. This video is so long, I feel like that the introduction was so long ago. As he was manhandled into the police cell to await further questioning, Johnny Sausage spat out a piece of illegal bubblegum onto the floor. Is he in Singapore? And turned to one of the officers with a curiously cocky swagger. "Hey, goofball," he said. "Get me my phone call." That's a good lad. The police officer nodded. "Yes, sir. Right away, sir. I'll just go clean the phone for you first. We're all out of cloths, though, so I'll just lick it clean with my tongue."
I don't know, man. Seems kinda gay to me.
At that point, Johnny Sausage was like, dude, too far, mate. Too far. And then it turned into a gay porn movie. "Just be quick about it," replied Johnny Sausage. And also his name's Johnny Sausage, so he's already got a good porn name, doesn't he? And then he sat down to chew over his next cunning move. I've watched this kind of scene in so many movies, but I have to admit that I thought it was true until I started researching this script. I've actually made a video, I think, on Today I found out about whether you can make a phone call. Turns out, like, no. It's just a courtesy. I just assume that in some US states at least, there must be a law which clearly stipulates that every citizen placed under arrest is legally entitled to try and make a single phone call, and it's potluck whether anybody picks up at the other end or not. So if Johnny Sausage manages to get through to Billy Pancake, he can tell him in complete privacy where to stash the Kinder Surprise eggs, and then take the first step of getting out of the joint. Be like, I need to use my phone call. There's evidence that my friend needs to destroy. Really, like now.
The Powerpuff Girls? Hi.
But if Billy Pancake is too busy to answer the phone, the police officer can slam down the receiver and gleefully send Johnny Sausage back to the cell without any hope of making another attempt. In fact, this is complete bollocks. Although laws vary from state to state, a general rule of thumb is that the amount of phone calls you're allowed to make is entirely down to the discretion of the officers who make the arrest. You could in theory be allowed to make as many phone calls as you realistically need to at the taxpayer's expense to get your sorted. You might need to arrange to have the kids picked up from school, or ask your neighbor to feed the dog, or cancel the Doner Kebab breakfast delivery service for the foreseeable future, or ask your friend to destroy evidence. But then again, they may not allow you to make a phone call if you're under suspicion of committing a particularly serious crime, or if you're giving the officers some grief, or if they suspect you might use the opportunity to get in touch with associates or witnesses to pervert the course of justice. So if they're like, you're gonna phone up your friends and be like, get rid of the gun. Go throw that gun in the river now! You'd never be allowed to make a call from your own mobile phone in the police station, and this probably does make things a bit tricky in the modern era when nobody seems to remember telephone numbers anymore. That's true, I have no idea anyone's telephone number. My wife memorized my telephone number just in case there was an emergency, and I'm like, where are you gonna phone them from? She could ask someone for a phone, but I'm like, what situation would you ever be in? It's like, when I first got a mobile phone, it's like, okay, I'll remember numbers just in case. But it's been like, what? 20 years of having a mobile phone, and the number of times I've been like, oh, I really wish I knew that person's number right now. Absolutely 0 times. I'd feel completely lost nowadays if I was told to actually punch in a string of numbers on a keypad to call even my closest family member. And yet I still remember the landline of my best mate from school, even though he moved out 25 years ago. I still remember a few of my friends' phone numbers.
Is this Boots and Saddle?
It is.
My name's Dick Rogers, do you hear?
But I gather that most states will allow you to pull up a number from your contacts list on your mobile phone before making the call on a landline in the police station. All this did make me wonder why the arrested citizens of movie lands are always legally entitled to try and make a single call under any circumstances when this bears no relation to reality. It could partly be a dramatic tool which serves as a further hopeless twist for the suspect when he wastes one of his legal rights on making a call that nobody answered. Or it could be an opportunity to show off the arrogance and braggadocio and legal intellect of the suspect as he aggressively demands his rights from the cops. But in reality, Johnny Sausage would get nowhere if he started acting like a complete bellend in the police station, and he wouldn't even be allowed to call the Samaritans. Samaritans, I don't know if you Americans have this, like the suicide prevention hotline or whatever. I don't know if that's what it actually is, but it's like you can call them if you need someone to talk to. Like if you're feeling a bit sad, you can call the Samaritans. My grandma volunteered at the Samaritans for a long time, and I think I could listen to her. I mean, it'd be a bit weird if I rang them up and I was like, oh, hi, Gran. I'm about to tell you all of my darkest secrets. Hello, grandson. That'd be uncomfortable.
All right, then, keep your secrets.
You might as well try ordering a beer. This has been an episode of Business Blaze brought to you by Blinkist. Link to them below. Look, if you'd like to get some merch, this one says cancel, #cancel Simon. I think when I wear it like this, someone said it looks like incel Simon. So if you get that and you want to go for the midlife crisis look where you wear a blazer over a t-shirt, you could do that and you can have the incel Simon shirt. Mwah! Thank you for watching.
Come on, you're probably getting a little boner right now.
My God, I haven't had this feeling since summer camp.